All right, everybody. This is a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024, part 20. Looking at the news here, seeing one of these groups has taken over part of the city of Seattle there, like 6 or 7 blocks. And, they showed some of them. I call them white punks on dope. There's always been an element like them. There's really always been an element of them up there in Seattle. They're do-nothings. They don't want to do anything. They want everything handed to them. Want to wear their hair in buns and do drugs and just floaters. That's all they are, floaters. They'll never contribute anything to society. They'll drift from town to town and panhandle, stuff like that. That's all they do. It's all they do. So I say go in there and break their legs, no matter what color they are. I don't care. Can't do that. But that's just me. No, okay, so don't go in there and break their legs, but go in there and arrest them. You have no right to take over parts of a city. But anyways, looking at some more things I've seen on here from some different YouTube sites that they haven't shut down yet, so you have to be quick and look for Candace Owens and it'll say truth about George Floyd or something like that. But so those comments you're seeing, apparently she got his police record and the 9/11 call, and he did do time. Him and several other men broke into a black woman's home, pregnant black woman's home, and did rob her and did put a gun to her stomach, which makes him a psychopath. And why he got out after doing that, I have no idea. So what I'm saying is on some things we can give 2 strikes, whatever, and then you're gone, gas or electric, because we're not going to house and clothe and feed you forever. And I don't care what color you are. And it's like these leftists, they say, oh, they're for women, they're for women, they're for women. They're for women in the case of abortion. They say they're for women in the cases of rape when it has political. When there's something political about it, if it's a Republican or somebody running for office or something that they don't like, they will find a woman somewhere to say something, even though they can't corroborate all the stories and everything. And I'm one of those people, you got to lean towards the woman telling the story, but I also know there have been plenty of false rape cases out there, but these people say they're for women, but then they turn around and they'll let somebody who broke into a woman's house, raped her, maybe stabbed her, whatever, they'll send him to prison. He'll get out in 2 years on probation and parole or something. They let him back out. Now, this is the way I look at things. If someone will go and break into a house and rape a woman, or if she can be out jogging or anything like that and rape a woman, they're capable of anything, aren't they? They're either capable of doing that again or doing worse. And you're going to put them in prison for a little bit maybe, and then you're going to let them back out on the street till they do something else. Maybe the same exact thing or something, then you put them back in. In my book, if somebody breaks into a woman's house or while she's jogging, snatches her or something like that, and rapes her, they are capable of anything. And they should never see the light of day again. Never. The same with murderers. In my book, it's pretty much the same thing. Rape is a brutal, more than just a sexual act, assault. It's dehumanizing for the woman. And having to deal with that, the memory of that for the rest of your life. We all have memories. Do you have memories? Some of you whine and pine your whole lives because of a breakup in a relationship. You can't get the memory out of your head. Or something happened. Somebody said something to you that causes you to be angry for the rest of your life. Whenever it pops in your head, you think about it. Imagine having to carry the memory and the emotional baggage of being brutally raped with you your whole life. Can you imagine that? I know most men can't. They don't ever think of that. But imagine that. Imagine if instead of somebody breaking in and raping a woman in her house, imagine some, crazed, psychopathic, homosexual man broke into your house and you're a man and you were raped by another man. Imagine that. Having to deal with that the rest of your life. Can you imagine that? Lots of people blow off rape as, oh, it's just, something sexual. Would you like to be raped? And same thing I spoke earlier in one of the videos earlier about, the refugee camps over there in Syria and in that area and stuff like that, where supposed Muslim brothers are going to their Muslim sisters and offering them aid, but only if they get sexual favors for it. So you're going to go have someone who's supposed to be your sister in your faith, make her prostitute herself for, some feminine goods or some toothpaste or something. That's really wonderful. You should really be proud of yourself. You're going to face the Prophet and you're going to face Allah for that. But back to rape. Can you imagine that if you're a man? Just try and imagine the shoes on the other foot. You're the one being raped. And stabbed or whatever, or held at gunpoint while you're raped. Not just something to blow off anymore, is it? So the way I see it, people who do things like that should never see the light of day. But these people on the left, especially if the rapist is, an illegal, they'll protect him. We're not giving him over to ICE. No. I'm telling you, you people are being played. You are being played 1,000%. And these politicians, these mayors and stuff that are cowing down to all this stuff, you got to wonder, is there some agenda going on here? Are they plants? Are they part of this and they're just playing a role like, we got all this pressure, public pressure, we got to wake up about crime in this country and criminals. Say, you know what? Some of you should never even be offered parole or probation. That all comes from these bleeding hearts and stuff like this, and then people, want to throw in budgets and stuff like this. I'm sorry, when it comes to the safety of somebody's family, their wives and their children, you've got no right while you've got your security force and you're living in your big gated community to turn these people out on public streets. Rapists and people that are, convicted of assault, murders, especially murder. They did it once, they're capable of doing it again. We're not talking about something petty here like shoplifting. We are talking about violent people who will hurt innocent people. We're talking about violent people who have no conscience. So anyway, the rest about George Floyd there, like I said, I'm not going to shed any tears for him. That cop was wrong for what he did. That was, to me, it's cold-blooded murder. Our law officers are not supposed to be, judge, jury, and executioner. They're supposed to make the arrest and let the system handle it. So, but I'm not losing no sleep, and I'm not shedding no tears for a man that broke into a woman's house, a pregnant woman's house with other men, and robbed a pregnant woman and terrified her and put a gun to her stomach. And you watch all these memorials going on, and Nancy Pelosi and all these other people. Do they know of his record? Do they even care? And what happened? They're all putting on this African garb and stuff, like traditional African stuff. And just a while ago, weren't they screaming about if you weren't that ethnicity, any ethnicity? We heard it about a bunch of stuff. You had no right to wear their traditional clothing. Weren't they saying that was cultural theft or something? Wasn't that a thing not too long ago? It's okay now. Everybody's from the mother country. White, black, whoever, Asians, as long as they're trying to BS everybody. And then each memorial's got to be bigger. Well, shoot. Did you see that what Sharpton did? I can't let him be top dog. So another preacher, he got more to say. Another politician, he got more to say, or she got more to say. AOC on TV flapping her gums about police having tanks. The mayor and the chief of police, who, by the way, looking at one of the things the mayor said was he sued the police department over what he said was racism. I guess he wasn't promoted fast enough or anything, but you got to wonder if some of these people aren't weaseling their way to the top. They're with them leftists and all this and everything, and they're just trying to get themselves into positions of power and waiting for their moment. Now he's got his moment now. He's going to, what were they doing? He was saying they're not going to negotiate with the police union anymore. So you got to wonder about all this. There's something bigger going on to cover up. I haven't even seen on the conservative news anything about George Floyd's record. Anything about what he's done. Nothing. Not even on Fox. I haven't seen, unless maybe I missed it. I have not seen anything about this man's record. The whole country up in arms. Same thing with like Rodney King. None of that stuff came out right away. They played the whole, well, none of that matters anyway, and all this and everything. Which, did those cops in LA go overboard? Yes. But really, he was a drug dealing criminal with a record as long as your arm. And you got to say, at some point, do I really care what happens to criminals? Do I? I don't. Why are we having to put in our heads that we have to shed a tear over every single incident? Let's get the facts first. Like I said, what happened to Trayvon Martin? That was wrong. That was flat out wrong. That douche that shot him was told by the police to leave it alone. And like I said, the police say something, you obey their orders. You don't resist, you don't fight, you don't all this and everything. There's a system to handle all that. But the other cases like Ferguson and everything, oh, they kept it from you then too, didn't they? That kid, ripped off that store. Now, in that in itself, would that in itself been reason for him to die? No. But if you go and you assault a police officer, an armed police officer, he has a right to defend himself. And if you're that dumb to do that, then what happens, happens. I'm sorry. I ran into a guy out here one time, after the Ferguson stuff. He was like, yeah, why the cops got to have guns? Man, can't they be a man? Can't they be a real man? They ain't tough enough and all this and everything. And I said, well, first place, there's a lot of woman officers, so there goes your whole thing about being a real man. I said, when cops go to work in the morning, they're not out there on the street to prove that they're tough. They're just out there to police the community and keep it safe and keep it from being overrun by people who have no conscience and no morals. You can't have an organized society without police. You can't. Why do you gotta have guns? What's this, the Mr. T hour? Is that it? Every cop's gotta look in the mirror in the morning and be like Mr. T? I pity the fool. Messing with me. I'm gonna show him how tough I am. Is that the kind of police force you want? But that's the mindset of a lot of these people out there. So wait a minute, a cop ain't out there to prove how tough they are. A cop ain't out there to unnecessarily put his life at risk so his children grow up orphans. So his wife gets a phone call in the middle of the night. He's out there trying to handle situations with some of the most undesirable people in our society. To do it in a way to where, even though they are undesirable, to do it in a way that's a lawful manner where he doesn't overstep his bounds and violate their civil rights and all this and everything like that. Even though they're undesirable, that cop does not want to be out there to hurt anybody on purpose. Maybe a handful out of the thousands and thousands are, have something wrong where they're just itching to shoot somebody or something. But for most interactions I've seen with police, they do everything they can not to have to use deadly force. Everything they can. But you brandish a gun, there's nothing says they have to give you 3 or 4 chances not to shoot or something. All they got to do is see it. They do not have to take that extra second to put their life on the line and make their children's orphans. They're not out there to prove how tough they are, and they're not out there to be killed unnecessarily. And they're not out there to let these people who would kill other people in the community just walk away either. It's got to be the most difficult job in the freaking world, being a cop. You couldn't pay me enough, honest to God. And I'd be in trouble all the time. Not because I'm racist, not because I want to be a violent person or anything, but just because I would get fed up with having to deal with the same yo-yo all the time who couldn't get their shit together and just be a normal human being and go through life like everybody else. You know that scene in was a Full Metal Jacket where he's got the gun in the bathroom and the sergeant goes in there and asks him, what his mental defect is and all that? That'd be me. The hell is your problem, man? That I got to come deal with your ass 2-3 times a week? What is it? No. So these people say they're for women, they're for women's rights and all this and everything like that. But then they'll turn around and let rapists and stuff like that out of prison. They'll turn around and protect rapists and stuff to keep them so they don't go into ICE custody. They're not for women's rights. They're just for abortion. They're for everything detrimental to human society. We're going to give you drugs. We're going to encourage you not to work and be lazy and give you welfare. We're going to encourage you to go out and have babies out of wedlock because each one you get, we're going to give you more welfare. We're going to encourage you to riot and loot and say no police. They are against organized civilization, modern civilization or something. There's something wrong with them. There's something, I don't know. I don't get it. But I know a lot of people listen to the spin and the speeches and stuff and everything and don't stop and step back and say, wait a minute. You're for women, but you're going to let this guy out of prison. You're going to make the laws so that these guys can get out of prison who've raped and brutalized women. Think about it. You ever thought about it? If somebody is like that, if somebody can turn in that type of an animal for however long they're some of them keep it up for days. Some of them are, in and out of there an hour or whatever. They brutalize a woman, rape her, and gun. Some of them, the terror goes on all day and night. Somebody who can do that, you want to claim that person then should be let out of prison at some time if you catch them and put back out on the streets? Not my book. My book, those type of people will never see the light of day. You got hard, conclusive evidence. This is the guy. This is what he did to this woman. Broke into her house, whatever. Snatched her walking home from work. Any of that kind of junk. They're going away for good. They're not going to see the light of day again. They're not going to get the chance to do that to another woman ever again. Or something worse. Which, it's hard to imagine worse. To me, actually, when you think about it, it's hard to imagine something worse. I mean, if they kill somebody, it's over and done. It's killed with that. Brutally rape a woman, whatever, she's got to carry that with her whole life. To me, that's got to be the worst. That's torture on top of the act. So, maybe it is appropriate that the flag is in that position like that because we are a nation in trouble now. Between all the spin and all the crap. And what's amazing is the politicians taking part of it on the left. And I haven't seen many on the right or the right-wing news or anything even bring up his record or anything. Nothing about that. But if you're a politician on the left and you know this guy's record and you know what he did, you're going to go out there and take a knee? Well, then you'll say, well, it's not about George Floyd. It's about police brutality in general. All right. Then say that. Why hide his record? Why not talk about it? I'm not for police brutality. I'm not for that. I believe we got a system. Cop is supposed to investigate and arrest. Judge, jury, and if necessary, executioner comes with the rest of the system. What the cop did up there was wrong. And any officer that gets out of line, and does something wrong, should have to face the music. But I think we got to be not so quick to always judge the cops and blame the cops. I'm just saying, to me, myself, as an everyday American, working American, if I hear a story about some cop caving in some meth head's coconut somewhere or something, who cares? I don't care. I'm tired of being bullied into crying and caring and feeling bad and sad about things you shouldn't be. There's too many real things in the world that should upset you. Innocent people being hurt should upset you. Criminals who have no regard for anybody or anything or human life, who would leave you on the sidewalk to bleed to death and take your wallet and your shoes if they found you in that condition and wouldn't call you any help or anything. They just rob you and keep going. I got no mercy for them. I got no tears for them. Why should I? Somebody explain it to me. Somebody explain it to me, how we live in a society where somebody can break into a woman's house, brutally assault her and rape her, whatever, and then see the light of day again. And have the people who are for letting them see the light of day talk about how they're for women's rights. Really? I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm not going to waste my time getting teary-eyed for some criminal who made the wrong choices and ended up meeting the wrong cop or doing the wrong thing to the right cop, and the cop was quicker than him and defended his life so he could go home to his family. I know a lot of other people are tired of it too. Tired of the stupid news media shoving shit down your throat and telling you, if you don't agree with us, you're a bad person. If you don't agree with us, you're a bad person. I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. I'm not going to cry over George Floyd. Not because that cop did anything right, but because George Floyd, if he put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, was a psychopath. And I'm not going to lose any sleep or cry over psychopaths. And neither should you. Wish you all the best out there. God bless. We'll see you next time.